Shalom. My name is MOREH YISRAEL from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. In today's lesson, lesson number 10, we will be discussing tithes and offering. Can you pay tithes today? What is a tithe? There's no question that our people paid and gave tithes in the past. Can we give tithes today? And I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt in 40 minutes or less that not only you are required to give a tithe, it don't belong to you anyway. It only and exclusively belongs to Yahweh. And let us start reading this so we can understand what a tithe is. In the book of Leviticus, the 30th chapter, and all this is what it says. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or the fruit of the tree, is Yahweh's. It is holy unto Yahweh. And if a man will at all redeem any of his tithe, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. And concerning the tithe of the herd or the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto Yahweh. And why? Because the tenth is just a tithe. And the tithe is just a tenth. And that tithe, that tenth, belong unto Yahweh. And all our great holy men and our holy people knew that this belonged to Yahweh, and they gave Yahweh what belonged unto him. And I will show you what Yahweh called people that refuse to give him his tithe. What belongs unto him? In the book of Genesis, the 14th chapter, let us read about the first time we will even read about someone giving a tithe. And of course, this was well before the law of Moses. In the book of Genesis 14, this is what it says in the 17th verse. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. And he was the priest of the Most High Elohim. And he blessed him. And who is he speaking about? And said, blessed be Abram of the Most High Elohim, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High Elohim, which hath delivered thy enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. So some people believe that Melchizedek, king of Salem, also a priest of the Most High, gave Abram tithes. And then some people believe that Abram gave Melchizedek tithes. But regardless which one you believe gave who tithes, the truth is tithes were given. And why? Because tithes belong unto Yahweh. Whether it's of the seed in the field or the fruit of the tree, whether it's of the flock or the cattle, or you're going to see whether it's dealing with money. It belongs unto Yahweh. And watch what this says. Not only Abram dealt with tithes, but the second person that you will see is dealing with tithes is in the book of Genesis, the 28th chapter. Let us read there. Genesis 28. We're talking about tithes. And we're talking about whether tithes should be given. And you're going to see emphatically, yes. Not to the churches, not to the mosques, because the church tells you the law is done away with, except your money. And I don't know what they do in the mosque, but in the congregations that belong to Yahweh, the house of Israel, a tenth, a tithe was required. Genesis 28 and 20, we will start reading at that 20th verse. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my Elohim. And this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be Elohim's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee, because a tenth is a tithe, and a tithe is a tenth. And this tenth belong unto Yahweh, and not you. Furthermore, in the book of Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, now what we will learn and see, the law concerning tithes. And what is the law? Well, it's no different than Abram and Jacob. A tenth is required because it belongs unto Yahweh. In the book of Deuteronomy 14, this is what it says. And we will start reading at the 22nd verse. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim, in a place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of the corn, tithe of thy wine, and of thy oil, the firstlings of the herds of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh, thy Elohim always. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy Elohim have blessed thee, then shall thy turn it into money, bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go into the place where Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt bestow thy money for whatsoever thy soul loveth after, for oxen and sheep or wine, strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desire. And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. And as we can see, this is what we did every year. Well, today, we don't go to Jerusalem and take our tithe there. This was done every year. So we don't do that today. But what we're supposed to do today is what we are about to read in the 27th verse. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for ye have no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the time of thy increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And what is your gates? The various cities that you live in. Those are your gates. And why? In other words, every year we was taking tithes to Jerusalem, but not the 3rd year. The 3rd year of our Sabbaths of years. We're to take the tithe and lay it up within our gates. And watch what it says. And the Levite, he have no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow which are within thy gates, your cities, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh thy Elohim may bless thee in all the work of thy hand which thou doest. In other words, the tithe belongeth to Yahweh. So even in our cities, the tenth we give to Yahweh for the benefit of the widow, the fatherless, the stranger, and the Levites to come into our cities and to eat and be satisfied. Not only you will read that there, the 3rd year tithes, but you'll also read it in the book of Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter. Because the word tithe only means tenth, and the tenth belongeth to Yahweh. And this is what it says in Deuteronomy 26 at the 12th verse. When thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thy increase. The 3rd year. And what is the 3rd year? Of our Sabbaths of years, which is the year of tithing. It has given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, that they may eat within thy gates, in other words, our cities, and be filled. This is what we must learn about tithes. We have to have tithes in our gates, in our cities, that we can feed our people. But our people, under the erroneous impression, the erroneous truth that we're not to have tithes in our cities for anyone. And this is not the truth. And they said, well, the priests collect tithes. No, that's not a law. Even though David had the priests collect tithes, but that's not a law. Not only are the Levites receiving the tithes, but the Levite himself had to pay tithes. And let me show you that I'm telling you the truth. What's the law in the book of Numbers? Numbers, the 18th chapter. And when the Levite paid tithes, who do you think they paid them to? For they had to pay a tithe, which is a tenth. Well, they did what everybody else did. They brought the tithes into the storehouse. And watch what it says in the book of Numbers, the 18th chapter. And we're going to start reading at the 26th verse. Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take of the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up a heave offering of it for Yahweh, even a tenth part of the tithe, because that's what a heave offering is. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the wine press. In other words, they can't give those things, but what they are of that. Thus ye also shall offer a heave offering unto Yahweh of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel, and ye shall give thereof Yahweh's heave offering to Aaron the priest. So even the Levite had to pay tithes, not just the people. And where were you to take these tithes? Well, we'll read it in the book of Malachi, the 3rd chapter. And not only where you take these tithes, but this is what you're going to learn. What Yahweh called people who refused to give him what belonged unto him. And this is what it says. In Malachi, the 3rd chapter, the 6th verse, for I am Yahweh. I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed, even from the days of your fathers. Ye are gone away from my ordinances and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, says Yahweh of hosts. But ye say, wherein shall we return? And it's the very place that our people don't want to return to. But watch what Yahweh says in the 8th verse. Will a man rob Elohim? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. You're cursed with a curse. For ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, said Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing of sufficiency. That's what Yahweh said we are to do with tithes. Bring them into the storehouse. And where's the storehouse? In Yahweh's sanctuaries. And he wants you to prove him. Rather, he will pour you out a blessing that you don't even have room enough to receive. Tithes and offering. There is not one scripture that will even insinuate that we are not to give tithes, for tithes belong unto Yahweh, not you. And Yahweh wants his tithes, his tenth, because that's all a tithe means is tenth. He wants his tenth. When you come back from the fields and gather in your increase, he wants his tenth to be brought unto his house. Tithes and offering. Until our next program, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.